All right, ladies, thank you so much. Those of you who have stayed with us, those of you who are joining now for the first time, I am very excited to be introducing my dear, 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 dear sister, Elizabeth Bast. And I think you've all learned at this point my favorite way to edify and introduce, even more than sharing a long CV of certifications, is just sharing why these women are so dear to my heart. So Elizabeth is, my goodness, as you will learn in just a moment, I actually think of her as Nectar personified. She is such a muse for me. The sound of her voice, the way that she enters a space. I mean, she just is obviously, you will see beautiful inside and out. And what I want to name is that beauty, well, of course, many God-given attributes. A lot of this is earned, right? She has cultivated, again, this level of embodiment over 20 plus years of practice, of study in Tantra, in yoga, with the sacred plant allies. You know, she really, again, has created a life that is the walking embodiment of everything we're talking about here. You know, this she has no fear to face the shadows of life, you know, to really meet the density, the intensity head on. And you will see that that has created this blossoming, actually almost brings me to tears, this blossoming of such a beautiful, again, I say that from a soul level of beauty. This is like beauty through and through. This is deep and wide and rich, true beauty. And so with that, I would love to invite my sister here onto the proverbial stage. Thank you so much for being with us, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Maria. I feel so touched. I need some tissues. Hang on. Thank you. I feel so seen, and I love you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for creating this marvelous gathering that is so timely, that is so needed, that is cultivating the most powerful fuel for global change. I love you, Jocelyn. Thank you, sisters, for joining. I'm so honored to be here with you and to share with you. And the most powerful fuel for social change is the feminine bliss. And the feminine bliss that is rooted in medicine and ceremony. I have seen how the ripple effects of that, the magic of that into the quantum field is the most powerful force of social change. And also the way we give birth. And not just the way we give birth to people, but the way we give birth to anything. The way we give birth to our visions, our creative, our soul-aligned creative expression. And I want to thank you, Maria, for being my birth doula in the natural birth that I prayed for every day for the 9 months that little Ngadi was in my belly. And you were, I will never forget, it was just such an epic time together as sisters where it was like you had 10 heads and 100 arms. Before I could even utter what I needed, it was already in front of me. And I was so touched by who you are and coming to me when I was without my family in COVID, without my mother who gave birth to me in natural birth, you know, that you were there for me. And that sisterhood is so felt in the realest ways when it really counts. So thank you for being a living embodiment of sisterhood. And this was no small task to put this together. And all the matrix tech stuff, like thank you. Um, and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so excited to share with you all the bare bones essence of one of, if not the most powerful inner yoga I have been working with for almost 30 years. Since I was about 23 and a young mother, in my first teachings in inner Tantra yoga. And I'm going to share that with you today. And the essence of this practice is so much more than pleasure medicine. You know, pleasure medicine is a part of it. We are cultivating our life-giving hormones, our power hormones, our literal feminine power hormones, and oxygenation, circulation, activation of our womb power, not just like talking about womb power, but actually lighting it up. And it's also been fuel for everything I've created in my life. It's been the way to move through fear and energetic obstacle. And also it's brought tremendous blessings to my intimate relationships, because we become the fountain of nectar spilling over, where we come to our relationships spilling over instead of trying to fill a void, instead of trying to seek from outside of ourselves or get any validation. It has helped to fortify my sense of sovereignty. And I'm not sure if I'm showing up as pinned. Am I showing up as pinned here in the front? Is that working? Okay. Our sovereignty, where we come to relationships where, like, yeah, I enjoy being here. I enjoy the closeness, but I'm also so happy on my own that I don't need it. I can be in interdependence without codependence. I can choose to be in that healthier kind of relationship. And I've been with my husband now for, we're in our 17th year. I say 17th year and 9 lives together. So before I share this practice, I'd like to introduce myself a little bit more about my story and honor my teachers. So one of them, Maria. Thank you, darling. My journey started a long time ago. I would say over maybe 33 years ago, 34 years ago, as a young 14-year-old entering into Shoshone long dance and Chanupa, the sacred pipe, and the sweat lodge, and the dawn bath ceremony with Coast Salish teachers, with my mother, reconnecting with our indigenous roots. We are mixed. And for the first time, after being a spiritual seeker at 12 years old, looking for the mother God, I felt, this is my church. I feel at home here, like a wild animal under the moon all night, and dancing and drumming and trance and working with channeled energies. Like, this is home. And I was so grateful for that foundation in my life path. And then I found sacred dance with my first dance teacher, Shoshana Rose, who danced for the Dalai Lama in the Taradatu. She was a fusion belly dancer before there were words for that. She taught me about goddess cultures. She taught me about the sacred feminine, and she could dance in ways that would make me forget my name. This transcendent medicine I hadn't seen before. I'd seen good girl, bad girl. I hadn't seen that. I hadn't seen the divine feminine expressed like that. And she really initiated me into sacred dance and many different kinds of sacred dance. And then I found Hatha Yoga at 18 and fell in love with the lover that's always there inside of us, and immersed myself. And that helped me heal through quite life-threatening eating disorders from growing up as a woman in America. You know, all of that, even though my mother was amazing, the culture was very challenging for me, and had dysmorphia and binge and starve. I was about 30 pounds heavier than I am now. which just kind of melted away the more I enjoyed myself over time, and focused on how I was feeling instead of how I was looking. And I started to practice yoga in a way that was living prayer and celebrating God and celebrating my life instead of trying to mold myself to fit somewhere. So I've had 2 yoga teacher trainings since that time. I also studied very deeply the Tantric Sutras of Kashmir Shaivism. It's also called Shiva Shakti Tantra with Harish, which was very transformative in a non-dual view, intellectual understanding of Tantra, and early experiences with plant medicine, moving through sacred work with plant medicine after an initial run-in with psilocybin that taught me that it's no plaything. Then I moved into ayahuasca ceremony, Watuma ceremony, peyote ceremony, and then eventually coming to Iboga. And Iboga, and I also want to thank my teacher, Janice Craig, my beautiful sister, Janice Craig. I am wearing her beautiful crystal mala that she gifted me, who is a pujari, a ritual priestess, artist of the Sri Vidya. This is old school, left hand, right hand, Tantra, centered around Kamakya and the yoni of the goddess in Assam, that temple. And she's a wonderful resource. I will, I think her website is alohanamaste.com. She doesn't market herself so much, but she is one of the most profound teachers that I know, Janice Craig. Let me see if I can type it in here. Maria, would you mind checking alohanamaste.com and see if that's still up? She is very special, and she teaches both the left hand and right hand old school rituals of Tantra yoga, where we infuse every 108 points on the body with prayers. She's been in very deep sadhana, 40 days at a time, really devoting herself to her sadhana more than marketing it. And she's a wonderful, wonderful teacher. So those are some of my experiences that led me here. And then the Iboga medicine. So the Iboga medicine has been the pinnacle for me. That also, I feel that everything I've ever done helps me to meet this medicine. This is often called the Mount Everest of psychedelic or shamanic medicines. For me, it has been the most detoxifying of mind, body, soul. It is very much a medicine of fertility and aphrodisiac. Once it cleanses the shit out of you, it's really a heavy, heavy detox, mind, body, soul, and ancestral trauma detox. And I'm grateful for all the things I've done to clear out the space, to be the hollow bone, to listen, to be a channel, to counsel. And I'm initiated into the Bhuiti tradition, which is an ancient earth-based tradition that was informed by the Babongo, the second oldest genetic line in the world, that has been working with this plant first. Thank you, love. And this medicine loves fertility. It loves fertility because it loves love. It loves human life. And I'm very grateful for that relationship. And if you'd like to learn more about where we're at right now, I serve with my husband in Costa Rica at our center, Soul Centro, and that's soulcentro.com. I can type that in the chat here as well. And we offer retreats here. Here you go. And some of the most profound healing I've ever seen in 8 days. Our biggest referral source is ayahuasca. People get the message all the time, like ayahuasca told me. Almost every other inquiry, it's really uncanny that medicines seem to be having a curriculum and working together. And so I'm very grateful to be here. We go back to Africa every year, to Gabon. We are in relationship with our teachers. We are in reciprocity. We're not just having an initiation and serving the medicine. My husband is an ordained healer. a very high-level healer that can initiate others into the tradition, and remaining in relationship with peer mentors and supervisors and our teachers. We feel that's very important, going to someone in psychedelic medicine, that they are not just rogue, but we are held in a community of peer support and supervision, and always in mentorship for the rest of our life with our teachers is very important. And in relationship, and not just taking in a colonial way, because we can. That's, the old way. So with that, here we are in Costa Rica, and very grateful for everything that led me here. And I want to also thank my mother, who taught me so much about ceremony and ancestral work and making offerings to the earth, and creating rituals for decolonizing wherever she goes. So she's taught me so much in all the ways. So, inner yoga. I'll invite everyone, if you don't already have a glass of water, to get a glass of water or get some water and bring it here. Take a moment, and we'll actually begin with a water prayer. I'll wait just a moment here for everyone to get a little water. I'm sitting with me, and I'm bringing in a heartfelt water prayer. It's not a particular prescription. Water is very sacred in so many cultures, and so many indigenous cultures. And in this practice, we are awakening Amrita, which is the divine nectar, which is water. So let's give some props to water here. And this is one of the most sacred practices of my life, is a water prayer. I always drink water, speaking to the spirit of water. Thank you, Jeanette. Yes, speaking. Oh, thank you for posting the book. Oh yeah, I also wrote a psychedelic love story. It's really a torrid tale. It's torrid, but it's true. It's true. It was guided by the medicine to give everyone permission to be a human being. It's there in the thread. Thank you for sharing that. It was another lifetime. We've done a lot of integration since then. So if you want to be grabbed by the hair and stay up till 2 a.m., it's a good one for that, Yeah, and it really is a psychedelic love story, because, the Iboga brought us to love like nothing else. Cleared the way, the ultimate relationship therapy, beginning within. So here we are, Mother Water. I'll invite you to take 3 deep breaths here, going within and closing your eyes for a moment. 3 deep cleansing breaths, breathing into the whole body, breathing out with the whole body. Savoring the spaces between the inhales and exhales, allowing your entire body to be a part of this breathing. And opening your eyes and looking at the water. It is said by both my Bwiti teachers and Lakota teachers that water was the first ceremonial medicine. The first ceremonial medicine, infused with intention, shared in community. And thinking about our ancestors and the very first vessels that they ever made, and how blessed we are to have vessels to hold water at all. And I'll offer words over this water, and I love offering words over every time I drink water. Thank you, Mother Water, for showing us unconditional love. Thank you, Mother Water, for your neutrality. Thank you for teaching us flow state, to find the path of least resistance, to nourish all beings unconditionally, to continue to change, to move from vapor to rain, to evaporate, to flow, ever flowing, ever changing. Thank you for teaching us about change. Thank you for teaching us how to meet the present moment like the river meets the river's edge. Thank you for teaching us to always flow back to source. Thank you for being divine nectar. Please awaken in my being, and I'll invite everyone to infuse your water with 3 medicine words that you need today in your life. And speaking out loud into this water, your 3 medicine words: calm, pleasure medicine, fertility. Say, offering your medicine words and taking a moment to offer any prayer from your heart, speaking directly to the spirit of water. Thank you, water. I respect you, water. I love you, water. And when you're ready, drink some of your water and take in that medicine. Feeling the water, savoring the water like a gourmet, feeling the water touch every cell in your being. Thank you. Thank you for joining me for this water prayer. So in Tantra yoga, and there are many lineages of Tantra. There's Sri Vidya that I am familiar with. There is Kashmir Shaivism. There are many. And there are some scholars that will say that the left-hand traditions are lost, and they just didn't get the invite to the party. Sorry. No, there are left-hand traditions alive. I have seen them, especially through Janice Craig. It's just that there's not always a paper trail, and people aren't always invited, especially if they think they know everything already, you know. But they are alive. And it's also wonderful to study the sutras and the intellectual philosophy of Tantra. But these are the traditions I am familiar with Sri Vidya and Kashmir Shaivism. So honoring that. And there is a book I would like to share with you. I will point this out right now. It's called Inner Tantric Yoga by David Frawley. David Frawley, and this is a marvelous book to expound on and integrate what I'm sharing with you today. He's a marvelous scholar, and these describe some of the more subtle inner yogas that can really infuse some of the left-hand rituals that exist. So it's right there if you want to check it out and save that. So there's this understanding in Tantra Yoga of Kundalini. Kundalini is kind of a buzzword, especially, when we're feeling out of sorts. Kundalini. This is our, essentially in the most simple terms, this is our creative life force. Kundalini is not just sexual energy, that it's deeper than sexual energy. It can play into our sexual energy, but it comes from a much deeper source. It is the spark under every desire that we have. And in the Tantric Sutra, the one taught by Harish, what is the name of it? Prata Hridayam. It's difficult to say. There's a discussion of lower Kundalini, which is near our root, and upper Kundalini. And this is our, when you get really busy in the mind, this is also upper Kundalini. So Kundalini is our creative life force that is the spark under every desire. And for a lot of people, their Kundalini is in charge of them. And they get kind of bopped around and puppeted around and it stays kind of in the lower three chakras of like survival, sex, and food. Survival, sex, and food. And it stays unconscious. And when we say Kundalini is awakening, Kundalini can be running amok, but when Kundalini is awakening, it is when we become conscious, when it becomes conscious, a conscious force. And it's our fire, Kundalini Agni, our fire, that can always be kind of simmering in the root. And as yoginis, where we are taking this fire is from the root to meet, see, Kundalini Shakti, right, is a goddess. She's the raw fire, and we're taking her through these inner yogas to meet her lover, who is Shiva, who is the formless and infinite ground of being, who is consciousness, who is formless and infinite. Kundalini Shakti is embodiment, individuation. So this is truly what we're going to experience here is the real inner marriage. You've heard of hydros gemos, the inner marriage where we are in our own limited human form, uniting our individual being with the formless, infinite, transcendent, universal, the immanent and the universal. And when they get together, there is a transformation of that fire. It's like lead into gold, where we're transforming our base instincts. We're raising the fire that fuels those base instincts to our highest point of consciousness. So that fire ignites our highest consciousness, and we have this marriage of the form and formless, matter and spirit, body and consciousness. And we are blessed by that. And when we have that experience, it's very powerful for all the things I mentioned with life-giving hormones, and it has very practical applications like reducing anxiety. You know, just like a bufo medicine can do the same thing where we are plucked up out into the formless, that's Shiva, but then we come back down and we're like, oh, we have a perspective check. It's like we're really kind of small. Our problems are kind of small, and it's good to take a bath in the infinite. But then to integrate that. And in this way, we have the ability to transcend our limitations. And that's why tantrikas, yoginis, are called sky dancers, because their consciousness is not limited by the body. It enjoys the body, it utilizes the body, but the body is not a cage. The body is a very sacred vessel for our creativity. So there's a great sacredness. And I'll say this about sexual energy, because this is a practice that you can do as a sitting meditation. This is also a practice you can take into, I recommend first, solo experiences with nourishing pleasure, self-pleasure meditation, before you're trying to bring it into any partnership situations. And that's actually the traditional pathway, to start with these practices solo first. And it's very possible that this practice can awaken for you the experience of Amrita. Amrita is the nectar. It is the female ejaculate. It is water, which is different from urine. it is a different substance, and it is extremely therapeutic to experience. It is extremely emotionally balancing, hormone balancing, emotionally clearing, and it's a magical alchemical substance. It is the gold from the lead. It is the gold from the lead. It is this nectar that can be brought into ritual. It's a tremendous blessing for anyone who gets to be near it. And it can just keep coming, which is fascinating. It's like, where does it all come from? I don't know. Keep it going. And that's over time. And that's over time. And so I'll share with you, like, sexual energy can be poison or medicine. It can be draining or rejuvenating. And I really see the effects of this practice. I'm 48 years old. I'm almost 49 years old here. And I'm like, wow, things are holding up pretty well. And I know that these practices have contributed to longevity and rejuvenation. So it's magic. It's magic. It's straight up magic. And it's so beautiful. The joy medicine, the pleasure medicine is not a selfish thing. And I've had to unwind a lot of the self-sacrifice of my maternal line. A lot of people in their maternal line will just give until they break, breast milk until it runs dry, bend until the back breaks, and then finally they have an excuse to rest, right? And so unwinding this female entrainment for self-sacrifice is one of the most selfless things you can do, because of being the fountain rippling over and teaching our children, or our spiritual children, our spiritual lineage, to come from that place, to give from that place, to model how it's done, that we don't give on empty. So I'm going to invite everyone here to find a seat, comfortable seat where your spine can be long and your heart can be open. I'm glad we had movement just now with Brooke, right? Thank you, Brooke. I was tuned into that on that beautiful transmission. We're all moved and rolling the shoulders forward, up, back, and down, and allowing your heart to be very open, closing the eyes or looking downward as you feel most comfortable. Taking a few breaths here. Cleansing, clearing. Hands are settled in any particular position as long as they are relaxed and conscious, not fidgeting. And visualizing a flame in your root chakra. This is at the perineum between the sex and the anus, that center point, our closest point to the earth, and probably one of our first points that evolved as in our evolution. Visualizing this elegant flame here at the root, burning. And with your breath and awareness, I'm going to invite you to breathe it up into the womb. Taking a deep breath in, carrying with your breath, visualizing, carrying the heat and light of that flame into the womb to light up the womb. And exhale back down to the root. Inhale, breathing it up to the womb. Exhale back down to the root at your pace. From the root, carrying that flame up into the womb. You can also trace the pathway in front of your body if that's helpful. And exhale back down to the root. And from here, carrying the flame up into the heart. Breathing it up into the heart. Full breath in, brief pause, and exhale back to the root. And carrying that heat and light with your breath, streaming like a river up into the heart, allowing yourself to undulate or move or spiral as feels organic, and exhale back down to the root. And again, taking it up to the heart, another sip of air, holding it at the heart for a moment here as you pulse, lifting up with the pubococcygeal muscle, the PC muscle, like you're holding back urination, pulsing, pulsing, creating a pressure chamber, breaking open the heart, and exhale, feel the heart expand until you are empty of breath. And from here, inhale all the way up to the third eye. And exhale down. Here, breathing up into the third eye. You can see the breath drawing that heat and light of the flame like a river up and then down. Again, breathing up to the third eye, one long breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And breathing from the root, carrying the heat and light of that flame up to the crown and the space above the crown, breathing in. And exhale down. And again, breathing up to the crown. Another sip of air. Exhale down. She's getting very close to her lover Shiva here. Carrying Kundalini Agni, the Kundalini fire, up in a river of light to her lover Shiva, formless consciousness. And exhale down. And this time carrying her up very strongly all the way to the crown and the space above the crown. Another sip of air, holding the breath. Pulsing, lifting up, looking upward through closed eyes, through your crown, tip of the tongue to the roof of your mouth, allowing for that flow of Kundalini, pulsing, pulsing higher and higher in your being, in your pelvis, sipping the fire up, 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 all the way to the crown. This is Ketchari Mudra, all the way up, visualizing even Shiva and Shakti in divine union, above your crown, sitting together. And exhale, Amrita nectar, all the way back down to the earth, like rain to nourish and replenish the earth. And two more like that. Inhale the fire all the way up to the crown. Another sip of air, holding the breath, looking upward through closed eyelids, lids, tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth. And touch your thumb and forefinger together in Chin Mudra and sip, sip with that PC muscle, like holding back urination, but it goes higher in your body, up into your pelvis, into your abdomen. And visualize that muscle being able to reach all the way to your crown, pulsing, pulsing, sipping, 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 seeing Shiva and Shakti in divine union, sitting together above your crown. Exhale, divine nectar, Amrita, cooling bliss nectar, fire into nectar, raining down to the earth to nourish and replenish the earth. Full exhale. And one more time, breathing up. Another sip of air, holding the breath, tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth, looking upward through closed eyelids, but the chin stays slightly down. There's no tension in the neck. Thumb and forefinger together and pulsing, sipping up, sipping up, sipping up, sipping up, sipping up until you can't hold it anymore. Exhale the bliss nectar, the amrit of their union, rippling, raining down over you all the way down to the earth. Exhale and just savor. This is the most important part of any practice you ever do, savoring how you feel right now, savoring the resonance. Savoring the resonance after this union within you. Place one hand on your heart. This is the center point between Shakti and Shiva, is your heart. Visualizing your heart blooming as an infinitely petaled rose, color of your choice, opening and opening, womb soft, pelvic floor relaxed. And opening your eyes when you are ready. Aha. Feeling and opening your eyes as if for the first time, integrating your senses as a meditation, integrating what you hear as if for the first time, the taste in your mouth as if for the first time, the touch feeling your body. And this is a very simple, bare bones version of this practice. You can take it through all the chakras. And in the book that I recommended to you, there are mantras that you can learn about, beach mantras, seed mantras. And it's so beautiful to learn about these mantras because every syllable is infused with meaning, and it's actually a study of sonic codes, how Sanskrit is a sound healing language and how it activates different energies in our body. And that's a wonderful resource to not only learn the mantras, but what they mean. And to be able to resonate very deeply with every letter of every syllable really is infused with meaning, with different energies. And you can bring that first into a seated meditation. It's a very simple practice, really, in its bare bones form. I have a much more elaborate practice, my personal practice that involves blessings to all the directions, and prayers and different things. But this is still a wonderful, wonderful practice to integrate into your everyday life. And it's not about like when you feel like it. No, I practice when I don't feel like it, when I don't feel juicy, when I don't feel pretty, when I don't feel any of this stuff. That's the most important time to practice this without agenda, without goal, without any goal. And in fact, this practice, when you start to bring in active self-pleasuring practice, is very healing to not have a goal. And it's really incredible just to experience yourself, to experience your yoni, to experience your, I mean, there's a lot of medicine also around the breast activation, and Ayurvedic breast massage is a thing of activating life-giving hormones there. So giving yourself exploration and self-pleasure without agenda, not when you feel like it. And it's really incredible where that will take you, to be in a space of discovery. And there's a receiving of the pleasure, right, on the way up, and also a letting go of our attachment to pleasure on the way down in that cycle. And that's also very beautiful in what it allows for you, what it opens for you. And eventually you can bring it into your sacred relationships, your sacred sexual experiences with people that you trust. And the other piece that I want to mention with this very powerful practice, you know, of course, it can really create a lot of magnetism. And I see that there's an opportunity to use our power for good. You know? That if more women cultivated their pleasure, cultivated their sense of self, and spoke with knowing that they could change the world with every word, that's one of women's most powerful gifts, is just how you speak. How, and the Shakti through speech is a thing. The Shakti, that's one of her primary expressions. When we can get that energy to hear, that's getting closer. That's one chakra I didn't do in this practice, but the Shakti through speech is a sacred function, and women can really change the world with our words. But we have to envision it first and come from that place of deep sovereign power. The power within instead of power over is the new way. That's the way forward. And also with our sexual energy, I want to encourage every woman to become more acquainted with your soul and your boundaries. And one thing that allowed me to come into a deep sexual healing, because there was a time in my life I couldn't even experience orgasm, be it from sexual abuse, sexual assault, childhood sexual assault, and porn culture of America, just like trying to figure out what's my real pleasure, right? And it was through boundaries and authenticity that I was able to find my healthy sexuality. Whenever we fake it, our soul feels it, and we will become a little bit more numb. To be uncompromising, to let go of being performative, to let go of partners that expect you to be performative, to be in healing, and to be like a wild tigress, responding in that space with truth with your whole body. And so cultivating your sense of self, cultivating your boundaries, cultivating your healthy relationships. And that doesn't mean we can't give pleasure or whatever, but you don't compromise something that doesn't feel right to your soul. And that is one thing that the plant medicines, and in particular the iboga medicine, has helped me so much to become intimate with my soul, to recognize the truth of my soul, to honor the truth of my soul. And people come out of this experience with a far deeper understanding of their boundaries and the ability to express their boundaries with love. That we can express our boundaries with the most sensual, authentic, loving voice. Our boundaries are a gift to our partners that have the privilege of being close to us, to understand what is true for us. And it's very important to purify our inner circle of who wants the real us instead of the show or the airbrushed version of us. So blessings to your authenticity. And I encourage you to work with this every day, 5 minutes a day. You know, a shower, water is a great time, being in water for this practice, allowing the water to be infused with this energy and asking the water to be a part of your ceremony. So this is my offering to you today, and I'm so honored to be here. I hope you enjoy this. It's a gift that kept giving to me for a really long time. I love all my sisters. Thank you to all the sisters who support other sisters. This is the time for it. Thank you all for being here. Hi, Alexa. I recognize some people that I know. Jocelyn. Some names I think I know. So thank you all for being here, and please stay in touch. You can find me also on Instagram. You can find me there, Nectar Bast. Bless you. Thank you, love. I am complete.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That was beautiful on every level. I feel like we touched so many beautiful what's the word, categories here, right? Like self-pleasure, water prayers, practices, all these things that make up the full complexity of who we are as women. So thank you so, so, so much. This is so rich. Again, I will share like, this is my favorite thing to do in the world. I get all my best girlfriends together and I get to receive their magic. So lest we think this is just a gift for everybody, this is also very, very pleasurable for me. So thank you. All right. Well, I want to name that we've had such a full morning, 3 hours now. So we are going to take this, what feels like a very much needed kind of integration time. We have a 3-hour break, and then we're going to come back for 3 more hours in the afternoon or evening, depending on your time zone. I just want to make an invitation to all of you to really engage in the Facebook group, if that feels true for you. But it's a great way for us to introduce ourselves. Again, we've had this kind of cute, Elizabeth, I don't know if you heard, but I know somehow the way that my amazing VA, Janet, set things up, so many of the women who came in, your name on here is Janet. So we have like
Oh, got it. Okay.
So many Janets.
Can you put a link in the face for the to the Facebook group in here?
That's a great question. Let me see if I can do that while if I can multitask. Let me just finish this thought and then I can get to it that. But yeah, so it's a great time to introduce ourselves because the whole, point of all of this, not just to be in the receiving and obviously, and the active engagement of practices, but is to create community, is to connect, is to know each other and to be known. And so that's really important to me. And for my pieces, we will be doing much more of the, hearing your voices and things like this. I really wanted to honor the teaching hours of all of our amazing guest teachers. And then, oh, thank you, beautiful. She's going to put the Facebook group in. But for my sections, we'll be doing a little bit more personal sharing. But again, in the meantime, it's a great place to go. And that's where all of the recordings are going to live. And we'll be sharing more resources. Again, I'm also taking notes from each one of the teachers and different things like mantras and books and their teachers and mentors. All of these links I will be then putting into the Facebook group. So it's just such a great place to stay connected. And in the meantime, even on the breaks, we can go in and be playing in there if we feel. So yeah, we will see you again in 3 hours. That's 3 p.m. if you're Pacific time or 6 p.m. if you're Eastern. And I just want to say thank you so much to all of you women for really showing up and having your faces on if that's available. And if not, that's okay too. We feel you. Again, this is really about creating a collective field, right, of women practicing together, of women learning and growing and becoming more, becoming more of themselves together. So thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you all in 3 hours when we return. See you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
my
much.
love. Thank you.
Love you.
Bye.
Great work.